Olá, meu nome é Marcos Franck e eu sou jornalista para o Headbangers News e hoje eu faço a introdução para o grandioso Savatage, a banda que vai se apresentar no Monsters of Rock e também terá uma apresentação solo no dia 21 de abril ao lado do Opeth. A banda, formada em 1978 na Flórida, revolucionou o heavy metal ao fundir a intensidade do power metal com arranjos orquestrais. Liderada originalmente pelos irmãos Jon e Criss Oliva, a banda evoluiu de um som tradicional em álbuns como Sirens, de 83, para ambiciosas óperas rock como Streets, de 91, e Dead Winter Dead. Após a trágica morte de Criss Oliva, né, o guitarrista da banda, em 1993, o grupo se reinventou, né, e deu origem ao aclamado projeto Trans-Siberian Orchestra. Mas a banda sempre lançou álbuns clássicos, álbuns como Hall of the Mountain King e Gutter Ballet são contêm músicas que são muito importantes para o heavy metal americano e para o mundo e que deixou um legado que influenciou inúmeras bandas de metal progressivo. Como eu já falei antes, o Savatage retorna ao Brasil agora, no Festival Monsters of Rock, no dia 19, e fará um show completo ao lado do Opeth no dia 21 de abril, oferecendo aos fãs brasileiros a rara oportunidade de testemunhar o Savatage ao vivo, depois de 23 anos de hiato. E existe até uma curiosidade que a banda mesmo até esqueceu de suas apresentações em 2001 aqui no Brasil, porque eles até não sabiam que o vocalista Damon Dinia, que é o vocalista que substituiu o Zachary Stevens na época de Poets and Madmen, e havia vindo para o Brasil fazer esses shows. Então fica aí uma breve também discussão a respeito se Damon Dinia veio ou não veio, mas ele veio sim. Boa entrevista, nos vemos nos próximos aí. Thank you so much for having me. It is an honor for me and at least for our website to talk to two members of Savatage. You guys are my all-time favorite band.
Wow, thank you very much.
I've heard Savatage my whole life. It's kind of weird talking to the rhythm section of the band. I'm a bassist myself, so I know how Savatage is, at least when it comes to rhythm section.
What was the first album that you listened to?
It's weird. My first album was A Handful of Rain, and it is the album that Jon did not play in, but he did the tour for A Handful of Rain. At least it's what I've seen. We did not see A Handful of Rain live, but we heard a lot of songs when you guys came with the Wake of Magellan, right? Here in Brazil.
Yep. Jon actually did the majority of the work on that record. He did not handle the lead vocals. That was Zach, but Jon's the man that basically wrote that whole thing, and he played almost all the instruments, except for lead vocals and guitar, I think.
It was for me, I think, the most emotional work you guys ever released. I think I'd cried listening to that album. I don't know how much I heard that album, but I forgot the numbers already. But it was like something that touched my soul that deep, you know. I don't know if it was the vibe of Jon, of Criss, that left us on right after this when this album was released. Was before this album was released, he left us. So it was kind of intense. Also, Jon not doing that album was also an impact, right?
Johnny, you want to touch on that?
Are you referring to me or Jon Oliva?
Yeah, no, you, especially you.
Yeah, well, when Criss passed away, me and him were best friends, and it was really, really hard on me. And we started to get the songs together for the Handful of Rain album at the studio that we're in now. And I walked into the room and Chris's guitars were there. And I turned around and we called each other Gerb. That was our nickname, Gerb, for Gerber Baby Products, because we were the babies of the band. And I turned around and I said, "Where's Gerb?" And at that moment, I realized that I wasn't ready to get in the studio and do this, because I turned around and was like, "Where's Criss at?" And then I realized, kind of forgot that because it was only months after his death. And I just looked at Paul and I said, "I can't do this, dude. I got to go, man." And I bailed. I couldn't do the record. I was emotionally still wrecked from the accident. And so, yeah, I didn't play a note on that record. Oliva did all the bass parts on it. And I just couldn't do it. And then when it came time to do the tour and we recruited Alex, I sat at my kitchen table and cried, and my ex-wife was like, "You got to go do the tour." And because I didn't want to do the tour either. But she talked me into it. And, sometimes grief takes a while to get over. And so I got back in the saddle again and we went and got the tour done. And now, that's history. And here we are today, and we're ready to come back to Brazil and get busy again, buddy. It's going to be good.
I'm so happy that you guys are going not only play at Monsters of Rock, but also have a solo show. What are your expectations of doing these shows in Brazil? Will it be like it was the last time you guys came? Were also with a different vocalist, so this time it will be the thing.
It's the thing, buddy.
Well, last time we were there, it was basically the same lineup without Jon, I believe, right?
No, it was with Poets and Madmen, right? With the Diamond, with how was that the vocalist?
Damon Janaya?
I don't think we went to Brazil with Damon, did we?
I don't recall.
I
know we did Europe with him, but I don't think we did Brazil with him. I don't.
We did Europe.
I was in Brazil. Zach was singing with us, I believe.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought it was with Poets and Madmen. I already were sure that you guys came with another vocalist, and it wasn't Zachary in this case.
Yeah, well, if it was Poets and Madmen tour, Damon would have been the singer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So I've missed.
Well, but to answer your question, we can't wait. I mean, our expectations are, we've put a lot of pressure on ourselves to come out and be better than we've ever been. The situation is a little bit different. Obviously, Jon is not going to be on stage with us, but musically, we've gone into this whole thing with the approach of deconstructing every song, relearning everything properly. I can speak for myself, and I think everybody else too. We've been playing things wrong for a long time. So now we've gone into the studio and it's like, okay, don't do that, do that, blah, blah, blah. And now everything actually sounds better than it ever has. It really is amazing. Jon not being there, obviously, we're not going to be able to replace that voice and that personality and that energy that Jon brings. But we're working around that. And I think we've come up with a really good formula for this set and how we're putting this all together. It really does sound fantastic. I think everybody's going to be super excited about this. And we are probably taking this as seriously, if not more seriously, than we've ever done. So a lot of years working in TSO has kind of developed this approach that we're taking right now, because TSO is such a meticulous production. So,
yes, it is a show for itself.
Yes, but this is how we're approaching what we're doing now. Like I said, musically, relearning everything, start to finish.
Wow.
We plan on bringing some production. Johnny was talking earlier about technology, and hey, back in 2002, which was our last real tour, last real shows, a lot of this stuff wasn't even in play. So now we're coming out with some new toys, you know, in-ear monitoring, et cetera, et cetera. It's going to really benefit the show and benefit us greatly.
Yeah, and it. I think the impactful albums as well are Hall of the Mounted King and Go to Ballet and Streets. But still, I think that you guys coming playing these songs after so long, it will be still so impactful, and I'm really looking forward for this. And seeing like this with the Trans-Siberian Orchestra was like a time that Savatage was not touring and there was only Trans-Siberian Orchestra, so we will be lucky to see Savatage at least live and not Trans-Siberian Orchestra, because that's what you guys were touring with, right?
Oh yeah, we're bringing the goods, buddy. And yeah, like Jeff said, you know, working with TSO, the work ethic in that band, in that group is really intense. I mean, we're rehearsing 10 hours a day, 7 days a week, and we work a lot, and that's what it takes to be a good band. And that's what we're doing right now. When we get done with these interviews today, we're rolling down the street to the studio. We'll be there for 10 hours, and then we'll come back and go to sleep and get up and do it again. But it's a labor of love, and we really can't wait to get back to Brazil and present what we've been working on for so long to the Brazilian fans.
I think it's interesting too that we are an older band. We are a legacy band that hasn't played in 23 years. So we're like brand new all over again. You know, there's this real excitement to see, for these fans to see something, not just Savatage fans, but I think rock and metal fans and people that go to these festivals and stuff, to see something new and fresh again. And even though a lot of this music is decades old, people have not heard it live in a long time. And, you know, I'm going to go back to this, how we are approaching this. We are so fortunate to be in this position that we're in, to be able to still do this. So taking this responsibility upon ourselves to be as good as ever has been the priority. And I can't wait. I think people are going to be so impressed with what we're going to do. The set list is, obviously there's a number of songs that we have to play, you know, album titles, hits, so to speak. But there's some things that we're going to throw out there that I think are going to blow some people away. And I know myself, in the rehearsal room, I'm looking around like, wow, wait. So it's going to be awesome.
Will you guys play something from Nightmare Rock? Or?
Oh, Fight for the Nightmare?
Yeah, Fight for the Nightmare.
Yeah. No, there's nothing on. You won't hear nothing off that record.
Because this album was such a weird story, right?
Well, yeah, when I first joined the band, I just did what I was told, you know. And so actually the record we recorded was pretty damn good, but the record we got, the songs, some of the songs on there, they weren't even supposed to be on the record. We had some, like, I was new. We had really bad management, and we came to a fork in the road, you know, heavy or whatever, and they went whatever. And it just about ruined our career. If it wasn't for Paul O'Neill, we wouldn't be talking right now. I wouldn't be sitting here in Tampa, because Paul O'Neill basically rescued our butts after the debacle that we were involved in. But yeah, that record just about ruined our careers. And it's unfortunate, because there were some songs that we recorded that were great, and I don't know where they went, but they didn't wind up where they were supposed to.
And
the wisdom of Paul and Jon to never say Savatage was done. You know, we have not played a proper tour in 23 years, but those two men just refused to say this band is done. You know, we're calling it quits, blah, blah, blah. You know, we're scratching our heads sometimes wondering, well, when is it going to happen? Well, thankfully they didn't call it quits, because now we're able to do this again. But going back to I've heard a ton of stories about fight for the Nightmare and all this other stuff. there was a number of very legitimate reasons for Paul and Jon to walk away from this band, and they've stuck it out and kept this thing together and kept it going. And hey, I am very thankful and very fortunate. I think I speak for all of us, but to be able to keep this music alive, keep the legacy of Jon and Criss Oliva and Paul going out there, this is going to be really special for all of us. But those men, they hung in there. You know, Paul was one of the most unique characters you're ever going to meet. But that man had a way about things, and he kept this thing alive for all this time. So here we are, all these years later.
This is amazing. And we had like a press conference yesterday with Kerry King, and he was talking about legacy. And the thing that got impressed a lot was he wants still to play his songs, but also Slayer, because he wants new people to hear his music. So this question I do is for Savatage as well. When you think about legacy, do you think that Savatage will keep on playing even though God does not hear me now? Things do not get, and somebody dies. And do you think the legacy of Savatage will keep going on for a new legacy, for the new people that will hear your music in some point?
Well, years ago when we started this and we got together as a band, when I first joined the band, we kind of had it. We had a pact, and it was like, look, if something happens to me, you guys keep going. And that was kind of the mentality that we've always had. So with that said, you know, we're continuing on, and I don't know, I can't say, you know, in the future what will happen. But right now, you got a really good band that hasn't played in 23 years, and we're rehearsing our butts off to get out there and kick some tail. So, yeah, it's
Hey, the reason, the main reason this is even still possible is it's such good music. You know, back from Sirens up to Poets and Madmen, everything in between, there's such good music there that I think that is, you know, more than anything is what kept the fan base with us. The band has always been good live. I mean, there's been a number of different versions of the band. I've said it 1,000 times. One of my favorite versions of Savatage was the Mountain King group before I was even in the band. I love that lineup. But the band has made its mark on stage, but I think more so musically, the band is very unique. The Oliva brothers had a very unique writing style and a very unique sound. Once Paul came in, all of a sudden lyrically, there started to be this thing that happened, and those three became this team. Those records, Hall of the Mountain King, Gutter Ballet, Streets, Edge of Thorns, you know, all that stuff is just brilliant. So there's no denying how good this music is. And I think, you know, we're going to go out there and play it as best as we can. I know it's going to sound great because we are settling for nothing less. But the music itself is why this thing is going to carry on. And I think this is a great opportunity for all fans to bring the next generation along to check us out. You know, 23 years ago, probably some of the new fans we have weren't even born yet. But now they're finally going to come out. They're going to come out and see us and hear us. It starts this whole cycle all over again. And hey, you know what? It's all about the music. If the music wasn't strong, we wouldn't have a shot. But the music is fantastic.
Yeah, awesome. This was like my last question, but still there was like something I discussed with a friend of mine that said we are going to go to the Savatage show and cry the whole show. So yeah, that's what that's the thing. Thank you so much for your time.
I tell you what, when we get done with that first show, we might be crying too, you know. A long time coming, so we're all super excited.
Hopefully it'll be tears of joy.
There you go.
Yeah, of course. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your music. See you soon.
See you,
man. Good talking to you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.